One of the things we haven't addressed yet is your tattoos.
Yeah.
You've got quite a number of them.
I do. People always ask me how many I have, and I don't know how to count. So don't ask how many, because like on my leg, for example, I have the Gospels. I have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Well, I count that as one tattoo because it's the Gospels.
Yes.
But a lot of people count it as 4 because they're like stained glass windows. And so it's like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but represented as like the man, the lion, the ox or bull, and then the eagle, right? So they're like 4 separate pieces. So most people are like, no, that's 4 tattoos.
4 tattoos.
So I don't know how to count, because it's.
And then you have on your arms.
Yeah.
Did these all, when did you start having them?
So they all mean something, and a lot of them actually tie in directly with my story.
Okay.
I started when I was 18. I guess that was the one thing I waited until the legal age to partake in. But part of that was I had to have my mom sign off on it. Like, she had to be there. I couldn't just show up with a signature. She had to be there and be like, here's my daughter. I'm going to let her get a tattoo. But I started getting tattoos. My first one that I got was a reminder of where home was. I got it when I was 18 because I didn't know. At this point, I was like, I have no clue where I'm going to go in life. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. But I want to remember that there's somewhere I can always come back home to. Like, no matter how far I go, no matter how lost I might get or how messy life might get, for me to always remember, like, I can come home. I can come home to my parents. And so that was kind of like the first one I got because the future was so unknown for me. But then I obviously got a lot more after that. And again, a lot of them I would get them after like a big event. So like after rehab, I got one, or after like praying for like this healing, this medical miracle, and that was granted, like I got one. And so they're kind of, in a way, it's kind of like a timeline on my body. And so when I see them, I obviously see the tattoo that it is, but then I see where I was at in my life when I got that. Like, oh yeah, I remember. I remember where I was at. I remember coming out of rehab, or I remember coming back from mission work and getting that. And so they all kind of are these commemorative moments, I would say.
Have you ever thought of having any of them removed?
No, because with my tattoos, I thought about all of them for at least 6 months, like minimum.
Okay.
6 months, and if after 6 months I still wanted it, then I would start to plan, okay, well, what do I want? How do I want it to look? Where do I want it to be? Then I would start the design process. So none of them were impulsive. None of them were like, oh, I'm bored, I'm just gonna, or I got money to spend. They all have a lot of meaning, and so there's no regrets on any of them now. Do I think I'll ever get one again? Probably not. I think I'm done. I think I got my last one maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Haven't gotten one since. Don't really have a desire to, but I certainly don't regret any of them either. So.
Do you feel that people judge you when they see it?
Sometimes, I got a job as a campus minister at Texas State, and I remember I met with, they had like a permanent community, like their parishioners, and they were mostly retired elderly women, okay? And I met with them to introduce myself as the new campus minister, and so I'm there, and I'm just kind of talking, sharing a little bit about myself, and one of them leans forward, and she says, let's just address the elephant in the room. And I sat there. I had no clue there was an elephant in the room. Normally, when there's an elephant in the room, you kind of know what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, there's an elephant in the room? Like, and she goes, what's with all the tattoos? And I'm like, all right, okay. Yeah, I get it. You're from a different generation, right? I mean, back then, prisoners had tattoos, and maybe dudes coming back from the military, they served in Nam, and they got like a naked lady tattooed on them and like came back. Okay, I get it. And I am in no way the type of person that thinks everyone needs to hold the same view I do. Like, if you don't particularly like tattoos, or you don't think that they're a good idea, that's fine. But I like the idea sometimes of me. Sometimes I'll roll up to church and I'll roll up on my Harley with my tattoos, and I'll get off, and people are like, who's this crazy biker chick here? And then I like take off my helmet and I put on my veil and I go into a Latin mass. I like that there's this disconnect that has to happen in some of these people's heads. And a lot of times it's the older generation, right? Younger people don't really think like that. And it's something against again, they grew up in a different time.
Yes.
But I like that suddenly they have to challenge certain beliefs,
stereotypes,
or certain things that they held, and maybe they have to kind of check themselves on that and say, okay, well, she's here at Mass, and she's modestly dressed and receiving communion, and so anyways,
I have kind of experienced that. Not all tattoo. I wear an earring.
Okay, yeah.
And I kind of experience that sometimes with people. I see them, they kind of look at me funny. And I'm like, well, I'm going up to the choir and singing with the choir. You know, you don't have to fit into this mold completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in a way, it kind of holds me more accountable to my actions because I know when I walk into a room, there might be some people that the moment I walk in, there's a judgment.
Yes.
And not that I have to prove myself, but in my mind, I know that in the back of my head. So I'm like, I have to love even greater. I have to show Christ even greater because I have to now break past a stereotype or a preconceived notion that these people have.
Yes.
And so in a weird way, it causes me to grow in holiness. And I can see in my life too many instances, especially when I was doing street evangelization and mission work, or prison ministry. Okay, I mean, I might be tatted, but those dudes, I don't have any face tats. Where suddenly, oh, here comes this chick to talk to us about Jesus. Oh, but she's got tattoos. All right, I'll hear her out. So I might lose a certain demographic of people, but I'm going to gain another demographic that are suddenly going to hear me out, whereas maybe they wouldn't hear out someone who looked a little differently. So
somebody who's a little more cookie cutter.
And people can be dismissive, and again, it's nothing against those people, but I think it's just a reality of who we are as people, that we do see someone and kind of size them up and make these certain judgments and stuff like that.
What about the youth that you've worked with? How do they?
They're like, Miss, can you call my mom and tell her that tattoos aren't against the church teaching? And I always tell the kids, I'm like, look, don't get a tattoo. First of all, you're too young. Second of all, you don't know what you want in life. Okay, just slow it down. But for them, again, different generation. Okay?
That's true.
The pendulum has swung the other way, and now everyone gets tattoos, and it's cool, and you're weird if you don't. Although now maybe it's swinging back the other way. Now you're cool if you don't, but whatever. So the point is that a lot of times they will kind of ask about it. And I'm like, look, guys, like the Catholic Church does not have a stance on this because there's nothing inherently wrong with dropping ink into a pore, right? So that's what you have to look at. Like, where's the moral? Okay, well, it's not there, right? People do like to quote Leviticus about not tattooing your body. Okay, but there's a lot of other interesting laws in Leviticus that we can also quote and be like, okay, are you following that one? Like, oh, you shaved your beard? Okay, well, that's also a Levitical law. So, but anyway, so working with the youth, it gains a little bit of, I wouldn't say respect from them, I would say interest. You walk into a room full of young people, and at the very least, they're intrigued because they're like, all right, if someone has that many tattoos, they have a crazy story. Like, you just know that, like, this is someone who maybe didn't live a normal life.
So you get a little street cred.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't let it go to my head because sometimes I also get cold easily. So I'll have like a shawl on, and if I'm wearing pants, you really can't see a lot of my tattoos. And then it's funny because I'll start the talk that way, and so everyone's like, oh, well, but then like if I get hot because I'm talking, I'll take off my jacket, and suddenly everyone's like, whoa, like they kind of like
had no idea.
Yeah. So it's always interesting when that happens too. But yeah, I definitely don't tell people like, hey, you need to get tattoos for Jesus or to evangelize or to be effective with the youth. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, you need to be holy to be effective in evangelization. You need to be holy to evangelize the youth or any demographic. Now, if you so happen to have tattoos, use it for God's glory.